I'm excited. This is my first Ignite talk, so here we go. We're going to have fun. I'm here to tell you a story about how our young people, as creative artists, fused different realms of the creative arts, social media, and advocacy to bring about real change in the community. The campaign is a youth-led campaign called More Than a Quota. We examined an essential question. How do you fuse different areas, different fields in digital media production and creation, social media, and network organizing with traditional grassroots organizing to bring about real change? As we're an arts education organization in New York City, where we are all about inspiring public education, so using creative arts as a vehicle for transformation. What this is really about, or what allowed this to happen actually, is authentic partnerships in the community. We partnered with Latino Justice, which is a civil rights law firm, and Make the Road New York, which is rooted in grassroots organizing. Our program is called the Academy at Urban Arts Partnership. We have a great connection with Adobe Youth Voices that ultimately is built on 3 pillars: pre-professional skills, leadership development, and academic excellence. Our young people wanted to examine the issue of stop and frisk policies in New York City. You can see the impact of actual policy in our young people's lives, where last year alone, 500,000 people were stopped and eventually frisked, leading to actually 89% of those people being released without any type of ticket or summons. 53% of those people were young people. So it's our young people being impacted and engaged by this policy. So what we ended up doing is that we partnered with Latino Justice, where our young people met with lawyers to understand and break down the policy, really get a hands-on training as to what their civil rights were, what their civil liberties were, and how to protect that. The next step into that was the development of creative media. Our young people developed a 15-minute documentary where they interviewed elected officials around New York City. They created a 10-track album around the topic of stop and frisk, spoken word poetry videos, and original dance routines to examine and explore this topic through the creative arts. So again, it's creativity as a vehicle for transformation and engagement and change. They developed all of these different pieces, but we didn't want it to end there. Our entire goal was to create 21st century movement entrepreneurs. The idea of who's watching, then who's listening, and how do you bring about change, and how do you bring about action? So we produced all this media, but we didn't want it to end there. We wanted to put it into action. So what we did is that we partnered with Latino Justice and developed a custom curriculum from the New Organizing Institute, which is actually based in grassroots organizing and some really amazing research from the professor at Harvard Gans, right across the bridge actually at Harvard. The leadership curriculum itself was about storytelling, engagement, communication, commitment, building alliances, building commitment, theory of change, and how does that actually happen. And our students went through a process where first they examined self. In examining self, you recognize your story, you get in tune with your own identity, and you build a relationship with yourself. Then we talked about us. How do you build a relationship with a community, and then how do we bring about action? Our entire goal was for our young people to be media makers, not producers, to ultimately put those pieces and producers, to put those pieces of media into action and for it to go viral. So our students created multiple platforms, online, organizing, using the traditional platforms of Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to really bring about a whole campaign, to understand what social media strategy and social media organizing was. Related to that, that was the virtual component. We also had the physical component where our students packed the courts in a trial against the city of New York, where over 100 students packed the courts and they led a press conference. So our students received media training and speaking opportunities. What we were really excited about is that it ultimately went viral. We were featured on Upworthy, we were featured on ABC News. Our young people became the actual spokespeople, the youth voice in this policy. It culminated in a really exciting pop-up event in Soho. It was a digital media gallery with 19 different videos where our young people curated all of the different pieces that went into that show. Over 400 people came out to the pop-up show. So we had this whole arc of a story, right? We have the creation of media, we have leadership training and social media strategizing, connected with grassroots organizing that ultimately led in this whole arc of the story and that we're continuing to do now. The policy itself was deemed unconstitutional, and now our students are shaping the conversation from this point forward. So it's really exciting. So follow us, connect with our young people, and see the brilliant and amazing work that our young people have done.